Alright, today we have a interesting one. This is the Lanbitou 3062. I have no idea if I'm pronouncing that right. Lanbitou, I don't know. Anyway, this is a brass pocket pen. And why do they call it a pocket pen? Because it fits in your pocket like a pen. Check out that clip. So, this looks a lot like those Kaweco pocket pens. I'm assuming this is some kind of a clone, but what I like about this is that it is brass. It's got some heft to it. Let's see if we can get this to focus. No? Okay. We will be manually or automatically. Here we go. There we go. I believe this is a fine tip. Plastic feed, like most pens these days. Let's focus this down to the page. Alright. This is a cartridge converter pen. Fully loaded converter. What is it fully loaded with? Oh, I'm about to find out. So, this is a mixed green that I made in a previous video that we sarcastically called "The grass is always racing greener." Over the cat packy. Why? Because it is a mix of what is this a mix of? I think Wordsworth and black racing green. Sledding Cat from Diamine. And the Yoshizuku Konpake. I'll drop a link to this video where we mix this in the description. I will also drop a link to some do's and don'ts that I documented on mixing fountain pen ink. Any of you who have played with ink in any way probably know everything that's going to be in that. I'm not offering groundbreaking advice. I am just some stranger on the internet messing around with ink. So mix at your own risk. This is a pen. You can see how small it is in my hand. I have large hands. That's it posted. I normally don't post a pen. When I use this, I do post it. So the nib on this is stiff, as you would expect from a steel nib. Let's see, what else can we say about this? The heft is nice. If you like a heftier pen, this is a little bit heftier, on the heftier side. Maybe a hair heavier than this Mahjong P140. This is my first pocket pen, believe it or not. I normally, while I liked the look of the form factor, I always thought that these were going to be entirely too small for my hand. This is again the Mahjong P140. You can see this is a what I want to call a typical or normal sized pen. It is well suited for my hand, I believe, because of the girth and the length of it. While if I didn't post this, this is going to cramp my hand very quickly. Posted, that's much better for me, I think. So, anyway, as my first pocket pen, what I like about this is the finish. And as we all know, it's how it looks that really matters. So, that's why I actually bought this pen, because of how it looked. And since I'd never had a pocket pen before, I figured, well, maybe it's time. I think I paid $11 for this, shipped from one of those sites, Temu, AliExpress, one of those. And it arrived relatively quickly. They only had the one nib option when I was looking at this, so that's why I wound up with fine instead of a nice stub nib. As we all know, everything should be a stub nib. Every nib should be stub. And I don't know. It is a nice pen to write with. I'm not going to tell you it's anything particularly special. I would say this writes about as well as my Mahjong P138 or my Jinhao X159. The X159 is the newer Mahjong 159 fountain pen. I think the old ones were, the regular 159 fountain pen was a metal pen. I don't remember offhand. I know the 159 also comes in a roller ball. I have a couple of those. The X159 is resin of some sort. So, brass pen that writes about the same as that. I would say the form factor, if you were stuck between the two and didn't want to buy both, the form factor should be the deciding factor. I do love that finish. So why do they call it a pocket pen? Because it fits in your pocket like a pen. Nice and short. Let's do some size comparison. We'll use this orangish reddish line on the left side of the page as a point. Lamy All-Star, Al-Star, AL-Star for scale. Asvine C180. The C180 is, there's a little fishiness going on with this lens, I think. The C180, the C80 is the largest of these, the most physically large of the three pens I'm comparing to the pocket pen here. So, it is a tiny, tiny pen. But, let me demonstrate something. Alright, so yes, this is going to be a little sarcastic. We have here some khaki pants, fresh out of the whatever, nice and wrinkled. Nothing but the best for this channel. Pocket pen. Confirmed, it works. Jinhao 930. The physically largest pen that I own. Jinhao 930, confirmed pocket pen. Alright, so enough of me being a sarcastic person. Alright, so let's take a closer look at this nib. Alright, see the nifty little design? Oh, come on, autofocus, focus. So, it got me thinking, first of Conan the Barbarian, but, you know, the cool snake-looking design wasn't quite the same. I know I've seen a similar design to that somewhere before. And I thought, well, is it from G.I. Joe? Is it from Venture Brothers? And then I realized, oh, well, it's not actually a serpent design. That's not actually a snake in a triangle. It's a squiggly line in a triangle. And it got me thinking of those mountain roads with the triangular signs, with the curve, and the rectangle sign beneath it that says something like curve ahead. So that made me want to throw it off the roof to see what would happen, but obviously I'm not going to do that. You know, that's too much effort. So, is this a nice pen? I think this is a nice pen. I enjoy using it. I am not going to sacrifice it to the eBay gods. I will be keeping this, but I will also point out this. I've been horsing around with this pen for not very long. Let's see if I can get this focus to focus. Minutes. Literal minutes. And you see that? You see those scratches right here? No? You can't? There you go. You can see them now. I'm getting scratches like that. I don't know that my skin's even touched this before this moment. The only thing that did is this cap. And when I look inside the cap, well, who's that? That is Mr. Burr. Let's see. I have a blunt nose syringe here that we can probably use for some probing. That there is a legitimate burr. Is this, looks like soft plastic? There's another one. Where do you go? I don't know if you can see that. Anyway, little tiny imperfections in this ring here that I think are meant to create a seal when you tighten it down, and there's this right here on the interior side of it, and I can't quite get it on camera. You would think with all the available light I have right now, I'm going to have to try to play with the exposure here. Let's do some brightness, brightening up. Nope, I'm not going to be able to get it. There's an imperfection in the brass right here, and I think that is what is causing scratching like this and like this. Because when you stick this in there, it wrenches down to about here, which means that my cap, that band, ends about here. And so what you see between this side of my thumbnail and the threads is all just bare brass on the inside, which would be fine if that was clean on the inside, but I don't know what exactly. I can see the threads deep down in there. I don't know what exactly happened there, but that is definitely a machining problem. Oh, how can you say that? What are you, some kind of an expert? Nope, I'm not an expert. I am a stranger on the internet. You should be doing your own homework. You should not be trusting my opinion on anything. You should be watching this for entertainment purposes only. And when I say, well, I have used lathe before, I have a pretty beefy workshop. And what I think needed to happen before they finished this off was a finishing pass. You can either take my word for it or not. I don't care. Not going to hurt my feelings. But with that said, even with the burr on the inside, which I will eventually do something about when I get frustrated enough with it, would I buy this again for $11? I think this pen at $11 is a steal. If it came in a long knife nib or a feud nib of some sort, or a stub nib, or an architect nib. I love those Archies. That would of course be an even easier yes, even if they doubled the price. Let's say this was a $22 pen instead of an $11 pen. Oh, look at that, I just noticed this too. That is on the surface. I think that is just spillage from the adhesive used to secure that part there. But even at $22, I would say this pen, if it had a nice nib, like a stub nib or a architect nib, that would still be worth it. Never heard of this brand before, Lanbitou. Lanbitou. It's interesting to see their trademark here is a registered trademark. You see the R? So maybe that means I need to do some public records digging to learn some more. And their nifty triangle logo there is a bit clearer than it is on the nib. You can see here it looks like an afternoon sun. Come on, camera. Focus. When in doubt, manual focus. Ooh, nice and sharp. That looks like the afternoon sun on the face of a mountain in the distance. Or maybe the morning sun. Now let's see if I can get the nib in here as well, so you can do a side-by-side comparison of what that actually looks like. And no, you can't really make it out on the nib. It's a curved surface and the light's hitting it at a weird angle. Oh, maybe you can. Anyway, interesting logo. Let's see what I can dig up about them. Alright, so Lanbitou is a Chinese pen company known for producing a variety of pens, particularly fountain pens, at an affordable price. They have gained a reputation in the fountain pen community for offering pens that are often seen as inspired by or knockoffs of more expensive and well-known models from other brands. So, some of they call them homage pens, include the Lanbitou 3059, which is often compared to the TWSBI Eco, the Lanbitou 3088, which is a retractable fountain pen that draws comparisons to the Pilot Vanishing Point and the Platinum Curidas. I don't know that one. Then there's the Lanbitou 3062, which resembles the Kaweco Sport, which is what we have here. Some quality and reputation, given the low price point. There are some trade-offs in terms of quality. Some people have reported that the build quality can feel less solid than their more expensive counterparts, and some parts, like the retractable mechanisms or piston fillers, may not be as smooth or reliable. The nibs can be a point of inconsistency. That seems to be a recurring consideration when it comes to some of these pens. Some people are reporting fantastic writing experience, which is what I'm experiencing with this pen. Others find that the nibs require some adjustment to write, to write properly. So, when it comes to writing properly and concerns with that, I give you my Lamy Al-Star, the Al Bundy of pens. I bought this because the internet told me to. I bought a Lamy Safari because the internet told me to as well. I have had nothing but problems with the nibs on these pens. This particular pen has seen 4 different Lamy nibs, each one with a problem. They ranged from fine to medium. There was a 1.5 stub nib that was intended for a Lamy Joy that I tried on this as well. That nib was just god-awful bad. I wound up replacing it with this nib, which is a, I think, 1.5 from Chinese Pen on Etsy. That is the Etsy store owned by Bobby, who has the reputation of a nib god because of all of his work doing custom nibs. He has an incredible reputation. I own many of his nibs, including 2 on July 630s. One's a custom stub, one's a custom architect. So he sells these nibs. Note there's no breather hole on these, which is interesting. And as I look at this now, let's see if I can get this to focus. You see that logo? Let's see. I just noticed that. Alright, here we go. Manual focus, because autofocus is a thing for maybe other people. That's right. That is the same logo as on this pen. Interesting, huh? Alright, getting back to it. So, after some discussion with the internet, and by the internet I mean specifically my search engine, I can tell you that allegedly Lanbitou translates to worn pen nib, which is kind of a cool name. in Chinese, allegedly. I don't speak Chinese. This is what the internet told me. This is not a product of Google Translate. This is a product of someone on the internet who I don't know in person telling me that this is what it translates to. There's an old proverb allegedly that says, "A good memory is no match for a worn pen nib." And I love that. Let's write that down. I'm going to say, is it really a proverb? I don't know. The company itself, or at least the trademark, Lanbitou, is associated with a company called Yiwu Yunsu E-Commerce Co. Limited. While they are a large-scale international supplier, specific details about the company's history or manufacturing processes are not widely available. 30 years in corporate America has taught me that that isn't necessarily as huge a red flag as possible. It could just be private equity. So there's that. Anyway, that is my video on this pen. I love it. Do I think you'll love it? I don't know. You have to make that up for yourself. But $11, maybe, let's say generously $12. There's worse ways to spend that. So that's it. Stay in school. Bye.